You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network with your host, Will Huckabee and Mika Villas.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's that time of the week. It's time for the Wrestling Nerdcast. And as usual, I'm your host, the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion, the AIWF Mega Heavyweight Champion, the Firestar Pro Wrestling Zone 1 Platinum Champion, and the West Virginia Championship Wrestling Heritage Champion. I'm Mr. Hashtag all the titles. I'm the Southern Gentleman, the Disrespectful Intellectual, the Mid-Atlantic Bully, the Morning Star, the Incredible Huck, Will Huckabee. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, my lovely co-host, the lover of waffles, one half of the world's cutest commentary team, Mika Villas, is not on with us right now, but hopefully, if we hope and we, things in Atlanta, work in our favor, Mika will be joining us later on in today's broadcast. As usual, this show is brought to you by the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Huge shout out to our sponsors at Indie Customs. Be sure to check them out, Indie Customs on Facebook. Follow them on Facebook. Be sure to follow them on Twitter at Indie Customs. Be sure to go ahead and talk to them, send them an email, get all up in those DMs for all of your wrestling and non-wrestling needs. I know me and Mika, we were talking about getting some specific 128-ounce Bourbon Street WrestleMania indie wrestling nerdcast, like huge jar mug things or whatever. But those will be brought to you by Indie Customs. Also, while you're on social media, be sure to check out our good friends at Pro Wrestling World. Pro Wrestling World has all of your pro wrestling needs, from everything from WWE, Impact Wrestling, Lucha Libre, New Japan, and Brit Wrestling and Independent American Wrestling. So be sure to check out our friends at Pro Wrestling World as usual. Well, it's just me, and I figured, last week I had, on the recommendation of my lovely co-host Mika, I had some of that natural Himalayan water blessed by Tibetan monks. And usually I might be, imbibing in a couple of adult beverages while doing this podcast, because we're talking to some of the craziest people that love professional wrestling, are involved in the business and the sport of professional wrestling. So sometimes you got to relax a lot with all the trials and tribulations of the world and everything, all the hectic things that I do as a world champion. When I do this podcast, I like to relax. But tonight I'm enjoying Le Croix. You can see this. Le Croix Cure. I'm guessing that's French. It's cherry lime, natural essenced sparkling water. Not the greatest sparkling water, but not bad. It's actually pretty good. This is my first time having it. I'm actually enjoying it. So be sure, if you see it in your grocery store, whatever, LaCroix, whatever, this right here, be sure to check it out. As usual, behind the boards, you really can't see him, is our amazing producer, CW. I feel kind of crazy talking to myself this long. So, CW, what's going on, man?
I am sitting here shaking my head at you at the moment because, your French water is from Wisconsin, bruh. So. Is it from Wisconsin? Mm-hmm. Yes. Damn.
Well.
So I'm saying, yeah.
Well, I'll be damned. My French sucks too. I'm not even gonna lie, my French sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, also, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button for all of your Wrestling Nerdcast needs. We got a bunch of good things lined up that we're about to upload on our YouTube channel. Be sure to go to iTunes, look up Wrestling Nerdcast, and click the little button thingy. There you go. A lot of things. My weekend was good. I had a very good weekend. Friday was in Grafton, West Virginia for IWWA. I had a really good match defending my AIWF World Heavyweight title there. Had a really good match. Obviously, I came out on top. Manny Fernandez was there. The AIWF World Cruiserweight Champion. TJ Phillips was in the building. A lot of really good kids. I really enjoyed it. There was this one kid that really stuck out. His name's Adam Parsons, and we'll get to him later. But he really stuck out to me. Kid, he wrestled Manny Fernandez and stuff. It was a TV taping, so a lot of the guys wrestled twice. Luckily, I only had to wrestle once that night. But kudos for a lot of the guys who actually wrestled twice and made me feel at home. It's as a professional wrestler, sometimes when you go to a new locker room for the first time, you're kind of trying to get a feel for things, and you don't really know, who's who and who's hanging out with who and what to say in front of who and who's the locker room stooge. But thank you to all the guys at IWWA for making me feel welcome. Saturday, right back in Fairmont, West Virginia, Real Shoot Wrestling, defending my world heavyweight title against, it was supposed to have been Salem Ash, who's this really young, first of all, if you don't know who Salem Ash is, check him out on Facebook. Look this kid up on social media. Very young kid. He's of Middle Eastern descent. Looks like $1 million. Not even gonna lie. This kid has a bright, supernova bright future. But he actually got injured, as a shoot. The kid was actually injured and messed his knee up, is still going through rehab. So, we had to postpone that match. But in his place was one Adam Parsons, the kid from Friday night that I told you really stuck out. We had a very good match. The funniest thing about that match is the fact that, Adam Parsons is like 20, 21 years old, still a very young kid, still very green in the business, has been wrestling for about 2, maybe 3 years at the max. But has a very, very old school Southern, like Memphis style of wrestling. You can tell by the way he wrestles and stuff, that he is heavily influenced by Jerry Lawler. I haven't had a match like that in a long time with somebody who wrestles a very a traditional Memphis style, with the brawling, but still the Southern wrestling, nothing too complicated, nothing very spotty matches. It was kind of refreshing. I really enjoyed it. And as good, but unfortunately, as good as Adam Parsons is, he's no Incredible Hulk. He's no world champion. And of course he came up short. And then there's Sunday, PWX Battlefield. Man, what can I say? That show was just crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the North Carolina area, anywhere within 4 to 5 hours, and I'm pretty sure my co-host Mika will tell you, if you are within driving distance, and to us wrestlers, driving distance is like 8 hours or less. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But if you're within 4 to 5 hours, you need to make your way to PWX, to a Pro Wrestling Experience show. A lot of ROH stars were in the building, a lot of, North Carolina and South Carolina, Georgia wrestling indie stars were in the building. Corey Hollis, John Schuyler, the Jim Nasty Boys, Ethan Case made his huge return. Zane Riley made his huge return. Darius Lockhart made his return. And can I say that Darius Lockhart and MJF, from Northeast, he's a wrestler from the Northeast, had an amazing, spectacular match. Kicked ass. I'm not even gonna lie. 2 years ago, when I met Darius Lockhart, I knew this kid had a bright future, and sure enough, indeed, no doubt, Darius Lockhart showed his ass, had an amazing match with MJF, who was also very green as well. Like, how crazy is that? Like, all of these young kids are just tearing it up, man. And it warms my heart to know that professional wrestling, especially on the indie level, is in good hands with guys like Darius Lockhart and MJF and the Jim Nasty Boys. Warms my heart to know that the world of professional wrestling, the future of professional wrestling has never looked brighter. I'm not even gonna lie, these kids are tearing the scene up. Had the big Rumble, the win of the Rumble. It came down to, they had a big 30-man Rumble, some surprises for the Rumble. Grizzly Redwood made his return. ROH star Grizzly Redwood, ROH star Rhett Titus. Let's see. The Jim Nasty Boys actually wore matching gear for the first time at PWX. It was crazy. So crazy. Like I said earlier, Zane Riley made his return back to PWX along with Ethan Case. But it came down to, the last two came down to Elijah Evans and Ethan Case. And Ethan Case got the win, which means at the next PWX show, Rise of a Champion, the main event for that will be James Drake versus Anthony Henry versus Elijah Evans. And it's going to be ridiculous. We already know, if you follow indie wrestling, then you know that James Drake and Anthony Henry are tag team champions. They're former Evolve tag team champions. So I love to watch, then all those guys, they travel in the same circle. They're very familiar with each other. So I'm really looking forward to see what these guys are actually going to come up with and stuff during their match. In the words of Stone Cold, I'm going to take a pause, drink for the working man. Hold on. My French sparkling water from Wisconsin. Let's see what else has gone on. Oh man, wrestling Twitter. Jesus, wrestling Twitter has been on fire since the last episode. Sure, so many people. Let's just go ahead and say there was a couple of people. It was some drama. There we go. Drama is a good word. Drama is a great word for what happened this past week in wrestling Twitter. One, unfortunately, and I'm just going to be real with you people because, you know, I'm a real dude. I spit the truth, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. A former member of the Angry Marks Podcast Network, one Abby A, who was a co-host on the other podcast that on this network that I help co-host, Thursday Night AMP, it has been found out that she is a fraud. It is found out that at no point in time, a lot of us thought that she had cancer, that she had to have multiple surgeries, that she was to the point where she was going to lose everything she had. And so therefore myself, along with a lot of the other members of the Angry Marks Podcast Network, did what we could to help. We, along with donating money, we shared out her tweets. We shared out her GoFundMe, her Ko-fi, or coffee, whatever the hell you call it, her U-carrying, like everything that she had, trying to raise money. We did what was possible to help her raise money. It turns out that not only did she not have cancer, that she has been in trouble with the law for a while. She is currently on probation. Once again, and I don't feel like really, because this is a positive podcast, people. I'm saying this because we're on a network and it's something that weighs very heavily on my mind. But anyway, she is on probation for, you know, a number of charges, something similar to what she's done now. Thanks to the power of social media, people did research, and that's something else, people. Like, you have to realize that once you put something on social media, and kids listen to this, once you put something on social media, it's there forever. You might delete it, but somebody has screenshotted something. Somebody has saved something in a file or a folder somewhere on their hard drive. It is never not gone. Trust me. Every once in a while, my good friend Marshall Bryan will send me a screenshot or a picture of my very first match where I'm wearing a black T-shirt that says Remix and white Dickie shorts and some black and white some black and white Converses and stuff with some volleyball knee pads. Like, every once in a while, he'll send me just.
This was back when he had hair, by the way.
Yeah, yes, and this is when I had the huge, like, Sugar Dunkerton afro. Anyway, get back to what I was saying, though. But like, yes, being through the powers of social media, it was found out that she was a fraud. So once you know, word got out that she was a fraud, not only did she not have cancer, but that she was, for lack of a better word, she was a fucking supervillain, man. Like, Jesus. If you follow the story on Twitter, just the hashtag is hashtag Abby's cancer scam. She sounds like a supervillain. But not only did she fake cancer, CW, have you been keeping up with this? Waiting to hear from CW. CW?
This is the first I've heard about it.
Oh, man, well, I'll tell you what. Look, you need to go on Twitter and check this out. It's hashtag Abby's cancer scam. Not only did she get busted for not having cancer, not only did her police record come out and realize that, oh, snap, she's been on probation since like 2015, for, you know, basically for computer hacking. She faked her own death, ladies and gentlemen. She tried to fake her death Friday night, came on social media as her sister that nobody had never heard of, saying that she was found on the floor with beside a pillow of Xanaxes, et cetera, and that everybody who had bullied her on social media should feel bad about themselves. And then, of course, once again, the Twitterverse started contacting, because once again, it's easy to find out anything about anybody on social media. They contacted her not only the local coroner's office, but the local police department to do a wellness check to see if she had indeed committed suicide. And it turns out that nope, she had lied once again. And now I guess, you know, for lack of a better phrase, she's back. She's, you know, paused or she's no longer on Twitter, but she has popped up on Facebook a couple of times and stuff. And it's just been a crazy, crazy week. Like I said, go on social media, look up Abby's cancer scam, and you'll see it. And the funny thing about that is that there was another gentleman who had also faked his own death on social media. But he came out and said a couple days later and said, look, I'm not dead. I was just very ashamed of what I'd done, et cetera, et cetera. The reason why, like I said, the reason I'm talking about this is because it's something very near and dear to my heart. My mother-in-law is in remission right now from cancer. She had cancer, went through chemo, et cetera, et cetera. Cancer on my wife's side of the family. There's her aunt had passed away from cancer. Her sister has Hodgkin's disease. She has had cancer and stuff as well. She has gone through chemo as well. So cancer has affected my family very much. So therefore I take it very serious when somebody says that they have cancer. I don't think it's very funny. And like my mama used to say, you should never lie on your name. Don't ever lie and say, oh, I got this, because God has a funny sense of humor and he'll mess around and give it to you. Or like my cousin would tell me, never lie on your dick. Don't, and that's basically what she did. You should never lie on your dick, ladies and gentlemen, because eventually you're going to get found out and that's going to be huge, huge, huge embarrassment. So, but yeah, CW, when you get a chance, once this show is over, we'll wrap it up, whatever, go on, Twitter and look up the hashtag and just dive into the rabbit hole that has been my past week, man. It's been ridiculous. But anyway, I've talked about it. The last thing
Isn't this the same person that you tried to get me to get to share my interviews on her website or some shit?
Yes. Thanks for calling me out, W.
I am so glad that me and her never really talked.
Yes. So, of course, like I said, I was going to put it out there. Last thing I'm going to say is this. Abby A., you are a despicable, horrible human being. And everything bad that is about to happen to you, you deserve all of that and more. The fact that you have scammed a lot of people, the fact that you took people's money who had the best intentions for you, is horrible. The fact that you betrayed the trust of not only myself, but several other people of the Angry Marks podcast family, is horrible. The fact that you lied on your own personal family is even worse. When people say that you have zero, redeeming characters or traits, they are talking about you, Abby. And how dare you? You have had the actual balls and the gumption to actually talk shit about Michael Elgin when what you did was so much fucking worse. Michael Elgin, in your opinion, and to a lot of people, may be a horrible human being. But he has never done what you have done, and he's never stooped to the levels that you have stooped to. There's a special place in hell for people like you, and I cannot wait. I personally cannot wait until you reach that point. I know, and I never wish bad on anybody because, you should never wish bad on anybody, but I hope you get cancer and I hope nobody fucking helps you. There we go with that. Anyway, back to having fun, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of having fun, speaking of hell and brimstone and all that other good stuff, tonight's guest is really, really good, and he's really, really, really going to freak you out. So we'll have a chit chat with our guests after these messages.
Indie Custom sponsored athlete Amber Young works with her local YMCA and A Place to Dream, building beds for children in low-income families.
A Place to Dream is a program that the Family YMCA of Greater Augusta is doing. The CSRA has many wonderful social services agencies helping low-income families obtain housing, but few help these families turn their housing into functional homes.
Consequently, residents are forced to sleep on the floor, air mattresses, sofas, or crowded into a bed with other family members. Recent studies link poor sleep with cognitive, physical, and even behavioral health issues. People who do not get enough quality sleep have poor concentration, weaker immune systems, and an increased risk of obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease.
Research has found that children with proper bedding sleep an average of 20 minutes more each night than children who have unfavorable sleeping arrangements. That's more than 2 hours per week. The Family YMCA staff and volunteers are going into these low-income housing authorities and building the beds, making the beds, and just getting to know the families. all for the children. We currently have done 3 different days and delivered over 120 plus beds for the children.
Please remember, shirts are only $20 and all proceeds will go to A Place to Dream. Make sure to send your payments to www.paypal.me/indiecustoms and remember to include your sizes and your addresses plus $3 for shipping. And thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And tonight's guest, first of all, this is the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mr. Hashtag All the Titles, the incredible Will Huckabee. This show is brought to you by Indie Customs. Be sure to check them out on Facebook at Indie Customs. Be sure to follow them on Twitter at Indie Customs. Be sure to get all up in those DMs, baby, and order not only merchandise from your favorite podcast show, which would be this one, but also get a bunch of merchandise and T-shirts and hats and stuff from some of your favorite wrestlers like the Gymnasty Boys, Montana Black, Joseph Blackwell, etc., etc., etc. While you're on social media, be sure to check out our friends at Pro Wrestling World for all of your WWE, Lucha Libre, New Japan, British wrestling, American indie style wrestling needs. Be sure to check them out. Follow the conversations. They got a lot of cool people that follow them and get involved and stuff in their conversations. So be sure to give them a like as well. Now, tonight's guest, ladies and gentlemen, talking about fire and brimstone, talking about I guess, for lack of a better word, weird, for something out of the ordinary. Tonight's guest, I met this gentleman when he was somebody else. Almost the same basic color scheme, but a little bit different. But right now, he's tearing up the Southeast and soon to be the Mid-Atlantic area. He is one half of the Pro Wrestling Ego Tag Team Champions. He's somebody that I've worked with in WVCW. I've seen this gentleman grow not only as a wrestler but also as a man since I've met him when I first started wrestling in Georgia about 4 or 5 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is the Zombie Dragon. What's going on, man?
Thanks for that kick-ass intro.
Now, you know what? I feel like, that's starting to become like my thing is like, intros, bro. I should become a ring announcer when I'm done wrestling.
Right, yes, you should. We're going to hire you for the Path ring announcer.
Now, I can be the past ring announcer.
Yeah.
Do y'all really need a ring announcer, man?
That's true. Once they see the burning Bible and blood, they all bets are off.
Exactly. Now, since we already brought it up, I was going to bring it up later, but let's go ahead and bring it up, man. What is the Path? What is the philosophy of the Path? And who is involved in the Path?
All right. What is the Path? The Path is actually a cult. I don't know if you know this, but the left-hand path is an actual religion. And it was not my idea, believe it or not. Matthias Darkthorn, he actually follows the left-hand path philosophy, which is going against the normal rules of modern society. And that's kind of what he founded the group on. And he wanted to teach the guys he had different ways of doing things, not the traditional way of doing things as far as wrestling goes. And honestly, doing everything different from everybody else has made us look so unique that we all just click together and just make this Path thing work so tremendously.
So it's an actual religion, basically.
Yep, it's an actual religion.
I see. It's so funny because I was like, you guys use the hashtag, walk the path or follow the path. And do y'all ever get any backlash? Because I know that now WWE NXT star Ray Rowe and former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Jax Dane, they say the same thing. They say, follow the path, walk the path. That was kind of their thing. Have you gotten any heat for that?
Absolutely not. Believe it or not, we've gotten no heat from it. But believe it or not, the left-hand path is something that can't be trademarked because, again, it's a religion. But we've got no backlash from it. And I think that's because, realistically, people know our stuff is out there. And, of course, their stuff is out there on a grander scale. So it even though it could be comparable, it's different in a sense where they say, okay, well, I see why they obviously say it because they're the left-hand path. So it makes sense that they say walk the path or kill the business or whatever we use for the time being. But we've got no heat from that. And surprisingly, we've gotten no heat from again, being a cult-like group, because you can't have certain religious groups in wrestling because you try to kind of stay away from religion, which we do a good job at doing. But surprisingly, we've gotten a lot of followers, so to speak, who actually do, in a sense, walk the path, quote unquote.
I'm gonna tell you what, man. I did not know until you just said that the left hand path was actual religion. And being in the South, like you said, like wrestling predominantly in the South, like a lot of you guys do and stuff, man. Like, you know, this is the Bible Belt, man. Like people take, you know, God and apple pie and mama. Like those are the three things you love. So what is the reaction to when the fans find out that, you know, this is an actual religion? And I don't want to use the word cult because the word cult has such a negative connotation to it. We'll just say it's a following, it's a religion. It's a belief system. That's what that's what you guys believe in. That's what you guys follow. I would never call you guys. I don't want to use the word cult because I don't want our listeners and our fans and your listeners and fans and stuff to get the wrong idea about that.
Right. And believe it or not, me of all people being in the group is hilarious because I'm not a guy who actually follows the left hand path per se, but I don't really follow anything as far as that goes. But believe it or not, when people find out, we get a lot of messages through our inbox where people are like, can I walk the path? I want to be in the path. And they're so receptive of it. It's unbelievable. I mean, they'll just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It's they'll just, inbox us all stuff, and then they'll send us pictures that they've made and different things. It's overwhelming in a sense.
Do you think that's because, especially in today's society, people are looking for something different? You have extremists in all these different religions and stuff. Not only Islam, but also in Christianity. And a lot of times people get turned off, especially young people, get turned off and turned away from organized, I guess you could say general religions and stuff, such as Christianity, such as Catholicism, such as Islam. A lot of young people get turned away because of it's always it's so strict, it's so confining to a point.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's a reason why a lot of people or a lot of fans are actually receptive to your belief system?
I think that's exactly what it is, because again, rules. We don't really have rules, and they get to see something like you said that's different. It's completely different. And this is not a knock on anybody's personal belief, but when they see the group, just the wrestling group, the path, they get to see something more, something entertaining, and it keeps them engaged versus sitting down and just being hammered with rules all the time. They get to see what happens in a spectacle where you get to break the rules, where you're not listening to the rules. They get to live through us vicariously, if that makes sense. So it just draws people in. They want to be those characters. They want to be these guys who are breaking the rules, who aren't listening to modern society. That's what I think draws a lot of the people in.
Now, so let's go ahead and let's break it down. Like, who is actually and we're talking wrestling-wise, who is in the left-hand path?
All right, so, of course, you have the leader, Matthias Dr. Thorne. You have myself, Zombie Dragon. You have my tag team partner, Eric the Ghost Silva. You have Trevor Eon, who is currently stationed in New York, and he comes down from Georgia. You have also Austin Towers, who's in the left-hand path, and our Rookie of the Year, Aleister Crow, is the last member of the left-hand path.
Now, it's so weird because I know Trevor Eon, and ladies and gentlemen, if you ever see Trevor Eon, he stands out in more ways than one. He's a very good-looking guy, very well built, but he walks around, and I guess you could say to steal a phrase from Bane from The Dark Knight, to the uninitiated. You like that phrase?
I like that.
Okay, feel free to steal that. To the uninitiated, he would look like he was a Satanist.
Yes.
But he's not, I'm assuming.
He's not. Trevor is such a unique individual, to say the least.
That's a nice way of putting it, yeah.
And believe it or not, we were never supposed to acquire Trevor. We did a video where we wanted to feud with the 13th floor, and we threw a section in there where it said something about gaining their defectors. And I decided, hey, let's just throw a picture of Trevor in there as a defector because he looks different from Bullet Ike and all them. And then months later, he actually joined the group, which is pretty dope. That was pretty cool, and he fits us so well.
He does. Like I said, you guys are tearing it up, man. Like I said, you and Eric Silva, the Pro Wrestling Ego Tag Team Champions. Trevor Eon is up in New York, tearing it up at Wrestlers Laboratory and up in the Northeast. And like you said, he still comes down south and wrestles and stuff and tears it up there. I've seen him on WWE programming. Kudos to Trevor for that. You guys are tearing it up right now.
I said, oh yeah, we definitely have a lot of good things coming down the pipeline.
But let's be honest, man, because things weren't always this good for you. I want to talk about how I first met you, and it's so funny because I've known you for a while, but I didn't know, you were Curry Man or the Curry Kid. I'm sorry, you were the Curry Kid.
Yep.
Say again?
Yeah, no, you're right.
You were the Curry Kid, and I met you at Platinum Championship Wrestling. In Porterdale, Georgia. I think at first it was Avondale Estates and then Porterdale, Georgia and stuff. And it was so funny because I never saw you without the mask on at a show, but I would see you at other shows, and I never joined it. So I was like, man, what does this Curry Kid look like? Like I know him. But like I said, I would see you at shows, and I remember one day he was like, "How do you not know who I am?" Will, I was like, we talk all the time. I was like, I never put two and two together. What was the reason? Go ahead.
I think I was just really into kayfabe back then.
Like you were. I'm not even gonna lie. You really were in the kayfabe, and it was so, I think you were one of the last great kayfabers. Because like I said, I would see you at a show and you would keep your mask on the whole time, kind of like in Lucha Libre where they drive to the show with their mask on, they never take it off. But then I would see shows where you weren't actually, wrestling on, and you was just coming to hang out and see the boys, and you wouldn't have the mask on. And I'm like, oh, what's going on, man? How you doing? Da, 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 da. And I never put two and two together, like, oh, that's Curry. Like,
Exactly. This douche.
So what was the reason behind doing Curry? Was it just a lack of imagination? Because I want to say at the time, Christopher Daniels was doing the Curry Man on TNA. So what was the reason?
Believe it or not, it was actually the complete opposite. So here's the story of that. Curry Cook is a anime character.
Yes.
It was in a popular Japanese anime called Ultimate Muscle and Kinnikuman. This is where, excuse me, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but this is where Daniels originally came up with the idea. So when I saw it, and I saw everybody coming out of the school that I was at, which was WWA4, I noticed a lot of the guys are running the same type of character. I noticed everybody's coming out to rap, everybody's trying to be the badass, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to tweak it to make it fit me and try to make money doing this. And so for years, I was doing the Curry thing, putting people over, but truthfully, I was learning about kayfabe, I was going everywhere, and it was easier to get booked because they could look at me and just throw me in a spot anywhere. But if you got two guys coming out of my school, basically the same gimmick, then so with me, it always stuck out. So if anything, it was because I had more of an imagination that people led to believe, just like with coming up with the Zombie Dragon character, which totally threw everybody for a loop.
Yes, it did. And let's go ahead, dovetail. Like, what was the thought process behind becoming the Zombie Dragon? And I mean, and I know I've asked you at the show, I was like, are you a zombie? Are you a dragon? Or are you like a pet? Like, what is the Zombie Dragon? What was the idea behind the Zombie Dragon?
So I used to carry a notebook with me, and I would jot down different characters I would think of. There was this one I drew called Fire Dragon, and I put the notebook up for years. This was like in 2008 when I first started drawing. So in 2016, I remember being on the phone with my old lady, and I was like, there's been every kind of freaking dragon in wrestling. There's been a dragon, Ultimo Dragon, Ultimate Dragon. I'm surprised there hasn't been a zombie dragon. And when I said it, I was like, let me call you back. So I found that notebook, and I started looking at the blueprints that I had, and I started tweaking some things, doing this, that, and another. And Bill Behrens, he didn't say this to me directly, but this was a piece of advice that he gave. He said, look in the mirror, and whatever you see, that's your character. So I went to the mirror with my eyes closed and just kind of thought out what I saw. And the character, believe it or not, is really a visual autobiography of who I really am. So when they accept the character, they're really accepting me. So it's me in my rawest, purest form. And it's all the way down to the blood, to the spots. Everything he does is pretty much laid out from something that happened in real life. And so it was my biggest, or should I say my greatest creation, because it's raw emotion. It's literally me in a sense.
I'm going to tell you what, man, it very rarely, and of course, and we both know because we both travel a lot and stuff. You're right. A lot of times you go to a wrestling show, a lot of guys, their gear may be different, names may be different, whatever. But for the most part, every guy's the same. Every guy's an athlete. Every guy's a badass, et cetera, et cetera. I am no exception. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm no exception to that. But you were so.
Your last name is Huckabee, so we can't get you confused with anybody. You're the guy who bangs your head in the locker room. So.
I don't know, man. I've had people ask me if I was related to the governor of Arkansas several times. And I'm just like, wrong race, different race. Like maybe his family owned mine at one point. I don't know. Anyway. But with the zombie dragon, man, it's so visually captivating. It's like I said, like we was in West Virginia, and I remember the reaction that the fans in West Virginia had to you at WBCW, where it was just like it was a mixture of appreciation, fear, disgust, and shock at the same time. Like,
yes.
I don't know if anybody can imagine what that looks like. But that was the four main reactions I saw from everybody in the crowd. And I looked around, and it was a mixture of those four emotions. I want to ask you this. Like, who designed your mask? Because with the exception of maybe Carrie Awful, I think you have one of the most unique masks on the independents right now.
I appreciate that. A buddy of mine, it's not the same guy that Carrie uses. He uses Rockwell mask, I believe. But I have a friend, two friends actually. One, he does graphic design, and we used to train together at A4, and I told him this idea I had. So he was like, okay, let me draw this, thing for you. So I sent him what I had as far as my blueprints, and he made a logo out of it, which, of course, the Zombie Dragon logo. I sent that to a buddy of mine who does leather masks, and he was like, I have an idea, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he ended up making, the prototype and then the actual mask. So it's actually a really good friend of mine who makes my mask, and he'll be making all of my newer ones going forward as well.
So we're gonna get different. So what's gonna be different? Because the mask that you have right now, man, is amazing. Are you just changing the color scheme, or are you just gonna go from the scratch everything and just go back to the drawing board and just redesign the mask?
Oh no, that's gonna be the basic blueprint, but I'm gonna add to it. And the way we're going to do it, it's not just going to be a gear change. It's going to be an overhaul of the character. So instead of just coming out with something new, you get another version of the character.
See, I like that because that's something that I've been talking. I'm not talking about myself a little bit. That's something I've been toying around with, this whole Incredible Hulk gimmick. It's like, do I always have to be the Savage Hulk? Like, why can I be Joe Fixit? Why can I be Warbreaker Hulk? Why can I be Planet Hulk? You get what I'm saying? Like. Why can I be Old Man Hulk at one point? So I see what you're saying when it's like it's the same character, just different incarnations and different versions of that. I really enjoy that. Now, wearing a mask, I've heard from several guys, and some people are luckier than others when it comes to wrestling in a mask. Some guys say, it's very restrictive as far as, your peripheral and stuff. Some people say it's very hot, it's very hard to breathe. I'm assuming, for the design of the mask, you don't have a hard time breathing, obviously. But is it different working in this mask than it was working in the Curry Kid mask?
It is easier, in a sense, to work in this mask because the Curry mask was so closed off. Because the mouth, of course, had a little tip in the way, and then the bowl trapped a lot of heat. So it wasn't a lot of escape. But with this one, the back is pretty open. So I have a lot of escape routes as far as heat, and I have full range as far as my nose and mouth goes. So it's actually a lot easier to work in this one.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. You're like a really. I didn't even realize this. And no disrespect. I didn't realize you're a very intelligent guy. You're a very inquisitive guy, man. I didn't realize that so much of the things that you did are very well thought out. Like, you do nothing spontaneously. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to do this today. It's everything you've done has been very meticulous and very well planned and thought out. What are some of your inspirations, especially when it came to becoming the zombie dragon and going forward with different versions of the zombie dragon? Like, what do you look for? What do you look to for inspiration?
Believe it or not, The Flash. The Flash is a place that I drew a lot of inspiration. Seeing the second season, he was doing a thing against Zoom. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, why don't we have this in pro wrestling? Why don't we have guys that can do all these fascinating things visually? And I was like, you know what? I have the computer and the know-how to do this. Let's build a character to where I could use all of my knowledge, where I could visually have these powers, where I could do this and do that and just wow the people. Because honestly, on an independent level, we don't have the money that the WWE has, using them as an example, but we do have a few guys with the know-how. And if I know how to do it, I'm going to put it out there, because when you put Zombie Dragon doing something ridiculous out there on video and it's on your show, it just helps everybody in the long run.
You're right about that. I see, my daughter, my youngest daughter loves the Flash, and I'm not really a Flash. I'm a DC guy, of course. But when it comes to like Netflix, whatever, I think I've gotten to like the first season of the Flash, and now I'm just kind of like, oh look, Luke Cage. Oh look, Jessica Jones. Oh look, Arrow. So is there anything else that in your daily life? Let's talk about you, Zombie Dragon, away from the ring, away from the spotlight and stuff. What do you like to do in your free time when the lights are off and you're just relaxing? Like, what do you like to do with yourself?
Believe it or not, I am always working. I don't know if you've noticed this, but since becoming the Zombie Dragon, I made it a point to make a post or build something every single day without let up. Me and the members of the path, we're always working around the clock, whether it be merchandise, production, marketing. We're always working. As far as my shoot job, I'm an electrician, so I have that experience as well. But I'm always constantly working and doing something for the path. As a matter of fact, I have a really unique opportunity coming in March that's going to help change the landscape of wrestling in another country.
It really is, and I was going to bring that up now because the gimmick, your gimmick, I feel like is going to be huge there. But for all of our fans and listeners, I'm going to let you go ahead and make the announcement for them.
Well, a lot of people know, of course, that the Zombie Dragon is going to China. He will be attending the March 17th Middle Kingdom Wrestling Show. But what a lot of people don't know is I'm actually going there not only to wrestle, but I actually accepted a position as their head trainer in their performance dojo.
Oh! Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Like, that is huge, man.
Yes, and what's great about it is wrestling in China is still in a developmental phase. So I have an opportunity to mold. And shape, wrestling in an entirely different country. That's something, revolutionary.
You're about to become the Onita of like Chinese wrestling.
Exactly. That is my plan.
Now, is it? I'm gonna ask you, man. Is it because you're the Zombie Dragon that you stood out? Because I know in Chinese lore, Asian lore, dragons are known to be wise. They're a huge part of the Asian culture and stuff, man. Did that play a part in you getting this opportunity?
Believe it or not, it didn't. It was good fate. It was good fortune. A friend of mine that I trained, I'll never forget him. He came by one night to my house, and he had never stepped in a ring before. We were in my front yard, and they were like, "We want to get this guy through a match. Can you train him?" I was like, "Has he been in the ring?" They said, "He's just green. It's grass we're standing on." So I said, "Oh dear." And we worked out in the front yard and came up with some stuff. And I worked with him, and I made sure he was, good enough for a match with me, which is basically me just bumping around all that good stuff. He went to He went to China to teach English, and he started wrestling over there. And they said, "Hey, we need a head trainer. Do you know anybody? And he good brothered the hell out of me. And they contacted me, and once they saw my stuff, they were beyond impressed. And talk to them every day with the roster, and they're so eager to learn. And they're very appreciative. So I really can't wait to get over there and work with all these guys.
Well, I want to let you know there's a certain champion who has his passport, who may or may not be willing to go to China as well to wrestle.
I'll keep that in mind, my man. Now, the thing you want to really do is get that visa, though. That Chinese visa, no joke.
Oh, yeah. I've heard all about that. Now,
it is.
I'm assuming you don't speak fluent Chinese, dude.
No, and that is the great part about Zombie Dragon, because he doesn't have to speak at all. But the guys there, they do speak English, so it works out.
So does this mean that you're like? So it is so wild. So are you moving? So you're basically moving there permanently.
I'm gonna stay there for 3 months, and then come back, and then we're gonna renegotiate and see what I want to do from there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you what, man. Congratulations, man. I know. I personally know that not only are you a great wrestler, not only are you a great performer, but you're a great guy. And if nothing else, and life hasn't taught me nothing else, you don't have to be the best at everything. But if you're good and you have a working knowledge, that's great. But if people like you, as long as people like you, that will take you a lot further than any kind of talent or skill whatsoever. Because people overlook stuff. And not say that you're not a great wrestler. Don't think I'm not saying that. If you weren't a great wrestler, you wouldn't be on this podcast. I would have said, hey man, show. I would have just been like, oh yeah, I would just, do like everybody else who's horrible and wants to go to the show. But yeah, man, I'm gonna hit you up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna shoot you.
You leave him on read like a promoter.
Yeah. No, I'm way worse than a promoter. Like, cause I'll just be like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, give him the little veteran handshake with the two fingers.
Nah, I hate that handshake. Look, please keep making sure that nobody does that in China like that.
Oh yeah,
God,
I hate that, man. That it feels disrespectful, because if I'm trusting you with my life, don't give me two fingers. Give me a man-to-man handshake.
The way I feel like is like when somebody gives you that 2-finger limp-wristed handshake, it's like you don't want to touch me,
Yeah.
It's like when you go to the local grocery store and there's the racist ass cashier who doesn't want to take the money out of your hand or put the money in your hand, so she just drops it from like 6 inches above your hand. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it's like. And a lot of guys who are high ranking in the entertainment industry, they do that same handshake, and I'm like, it's just tasteless to me.
No, whenever somebody tries to give me the 2-finger limp-wristed worker wrestling handshake, I usually make it a point to grab their wrist with my other hand and make them shake my hand.
Good.
Just to be a dick, because I'm 300 pounds and I'm a legit. Say that again.
It's like you're 300 pounds and you bang your head on the door. What are they really going to do?
Exactly. It's like no. You're going to shake my hand. Anyway, I know we could talk forever, man. Like I said, it's so good to talk to you, man. It's so great to hear all these things. I'm so glad you gave us an exclusive on tonight's show. But I know, as you said, you guys in the Left Hand Path are very busy. I know our time with you is running short. So this is a time to get your shit in, as the young people like to say. Where can our fans and listeners catch you in the upcoming future before you go to China? And how can they follow your exploits in China on social media?
All right. You can find me, of course, on Facebook as the Zombie Dragon, or follow the Left Hand Path. The last show I'm doing in the States will be in New Jersey for Wrestlers Lab. You can also follow me on Twitter at TH3 Zombie Dragon, because I couldn't use the E. And you can also find me on Instagram as the Zombie Dragon.
There you go, man. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here? Any shout outs?
I want to give a shout out to my boy Eric Silva, man. That dude has really been a solid rock when I needed him, and I need extra set of brains. He's always there to help out, and that's one guy I really want to put over as far as the path goes. The entire path. I could not have worked with a greater group of people.
It's something, man. I'm about to say it feels good, and especially in this business when it's very hard to find a group of guys who have the same dedication and think the same as you do and have the same drive, man. It's very hard because, the old saying is people want to see you doing good as long as you're not doing better than them.
Man, you ain't lying. You are not lying, man. And it's beautiful to work with a group of people that have the same motivation, that same energy in their eyes. It just makes everything so much easier, man.
I tell you what, Eric Silva's gotten so much better since I seen him in that damn garage in Whitesville.
Yes,
Whitesville, whatever the hell it was.
Whitesburg, yep. Man, he's come along. And he had surgery and became better as a worker after he had the surgery.
Yes, he did. I'm going to tell you what, man. Before we go, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, anybody, I cannot really count somebody as a wrestler in Georgia if they haven't wrestled in that shitty ass mechanics garage in Whitesburg, Georgia, at least once.
Because I've been in there myself.
I'm about to say everybody's been there. A.R. Fox has been there. Gladiator Jeremiah. AKA Jimmy Rave, myself, Chip Day, Joe Black, O'Shea, like everybody. Trevor Eon, Fred Yehi, Shane Marks, Jeter, Cody Hall, Scott Hall.
Jesus, they need a wall of fame in that building.
They really do. They need a wall of fame of all the legit wrestlers who actually graced that shitty ass little. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a mechanics garage. It's a mechanics garage where they just cleared out the bay part and put a wrestling ring there, and you get the wrestler from like anywhere from 8 to 28 people. Like
that's exactly what it is. That's such a detailed description and it's accurate.
It's so, but you know, man, there's a lot of good memories, and for. Even though, you know, it's a horrible building, I will say that Matt Collins is trying to do his best to try to turn that around. But, man, they got
a long way, man.
They should make that just as historical as the Landmark Arena.
Yes. You know what? I'm not even mad at that. If he went for that, I'm not even mad.
Okay, we should dub that the Skidmark Arena. Call it Pay Your Dues Alley. Like you gotta work in this building before you can work anywhere else that actually has a reputation in Georgia. Like, have you worked at Whitesburg yet? No. Go work there and then come back. No, you can't.
Right.
Can't come.
You need your Whitesburg card first.
Yeah, exactly. Like we had to put that on Twitter. I'm gonna put that on Twitter after the show. It's like, if you don't have your Whitesburg card, I don't know if we can be friends. I don't know if I can call you a worker. Like,
you know, give him the limp 2 hands handshake.
Like if you haven't worked at Whitesburg, I can't give you a real handshake anymore. Like we're a select club of guys who dealt with that bullshit. You gotta walk outside to go where the fans are ready to use the bathroom.
Right. Oh my God.
The owner of the building lives in the little house behind there. She's always like staring at the guys and stuff because the locker room is basically outside, or what used to be her bedroom. There you go.
Yeah, my first time there, and we got changed in the bedroom. I was like, oh boy. I mean,
my first time there too. It was like me, Scott Hall, Cody Hall, Joe Black. It was just like, is that somebody's bed? And it was like, oh yeah, this is her bedroom. What?
Yeah, it creeped me out.
Anyway, man, look, hey, Zombie Dragon, thanks for being the guest on the show, man. Hopefully I'll see you hopefully I'll see you at this week's AWE show. You should stop by and check it out, man.
All right, man, I'll try to do that.
Yeah, you should definitely stop by and check it out. Say what's up. You know what I'm saying?
Oh Lord.
But anyway, have a good night, man. We'll see you down the road, all right?
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, man. You take care.
Well, CW, are you still there, CW?
Yes, I'm still here. Mika wants to know, how does she join in? Well,
tell her it's too late.
Okay, I'll tell her that the interview has opened.
No, actually, go ahead. No, let's go ahead and answer the call. I want to talk to me. Go ahead and answer the call. Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Good. Answer the call.
Okay, give me a second to get the screen all perfect and straight.
All right.
Did I do it right?
Yes, I think you did it right.
Sweet. Why I only see you?
I don't know. There's Will. There he is.
I don't see me.
I see you.
Oh, well, whatever. As long as you see me, it's fine.
I don't see Mika.
Yeah, I didn't have my camera on.
Boo. Oh, there you go.
Good God, what happened to your forehead? Why do you like you got hit?
Shut up.
Anyway,
Mika, you missed a great interview with Zombie Dragon.
I'm sure. I was really upset. Anyway.
We'll go ahead and just catch you up that Zombie Dragon is going to China, not only in March, not only to wrestle, but he's actually going to be the head trainer at Middle Kingdom Wrestling in China.
Whoa.
Yes.
Get out here.
Yes. So anyway, before we get off the air, let's go ahead and wrap up and see how was I already know how your Sunday was. But how was your Friday and Saturday?
Not as good as my Sunday. I'll be honest with you. I actually didn't. I've been lazy on the wrestling, on the Making Towns. I'm sorry. I've been neglecting all my affiliates. They're not my affiliates. I just haven't taken my butt out into the shows, and there's lots of good shows out there on the weekends, of course. So I just have not. But I think what I'm doing is resting up for the big weekend that we have coming up at the end of the month, and that's gonna be my focus, my primary focus. I've been kind of studying up. Is it this weekend? Is it this weekend? It's this weekend.
Yes.
It is the end of the month. It is the end of the month, Steve.
And we're ending this on a bang. The last week of February, we're going out with a bang.
Not just because it's the last week of Black History Month, but because, hey.
I mean, well, let's look at it like this.
There's a lot of good wrestling happening around.
Who you tell? Because Saturday I will be in Elizabeth City making my long-awaited return to Next Evolution Wrestling in Elizabeth City, where I was the first ever NEW heavyweight champion. And then Sunday, AWE takes over the Landmark Arena and the house that AJ Styles built. But after Sunday, it will be the house that Will Huckabee burnt to the ground. Yes. I'm sure nobody says Battle Royal singles match. I'm burning that motherfucker down, baby.
Don't do that. We might.
The roof is on fire.
Can't take you anywhere. We want to go back places. You can't destroy the place. We want to go back.
We'll pull a Jordan. We'll do like every other indie wrestler and just have a wrestling show in the parking lot.
Oh God.
But not only that, because 2 days later after AWE invades the Landmark Arena and I burned that sumbitch to the ground in my best rock impersonation, sumbitch. This show is like our last show of the month, ladies and gentlemen. We are going. We're turning this. We're gonna turn the club up. Returning guest Ariel Monroe, one half of the tag team, the women's tag team Spam. Ariel Monroe will be making her return back to the wrestling podcast, the Wrestling Nerdcast. I'm sorry, to talk about all things black. And when I say all things black, I mean Black Panther. I mean the black delegation, black politicians, the racial draft, this year's racial draft, etc., etc., etc. And then, Mika, we're having somebody, our guest for next week is somebody that you're very familiar with, Mr. Jeffrey, what was it, Jeffrey Taylor? Jeffrey Show Live? I just call him Jeffrey Live because, that's his thing. Mika, are you not going to say that? Why are you just looking at me like that for? Can she hear me?
I don't know if she can hear you or not, bro. It's like, Mika.
Say something, Mika. You. Say something.
You're dying, Mika. She's dying.
Oh. Mika.
There she is.
Sort of.
What?
Hello.
Okay, there you go. Did you hear about Jeffrey?
No, I didn't. I lost you after you burned the son of a bitch to the ground.
Oh, man. Bam, look at that. Anyway, next week's guest, Mika, is returning to the Wrestling Nerdcast, is one half of the women's tag team Spam, Ariel Monroe, to talk about all things black. Black Panther, black politicians, the racial draft, and who is now black and who is no longer black. And she's actually gonna come on. She's gonna help us bring this show. That's how we gonna start the show. We're gonna end Black History Month with a bang. So we're gonna start it off with Ariel Monroe, and then we're gonna end it with your homie Jeffrey. Was it Jeffrey Taylor?
Jeffrey Taylor. Jeffrey Show Live. Jeffrey Show Live.
Oh yes, we're gonna it's gonna be. I'm expecting. They were probably gonna get kicked off of the podcast, the Angry Marks Podcast Network, after his interview. I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen.
Wow. Jeez.
I'm not gonna wait.
Don't speak that into existence.
Well, I can't do any worse than what Abby A did. So.
Ooh.
We've already talked about it, Mika. If you want to talk about it, Mika, if you have any comments about it, feel free to. No?
Zero. I think that in this particular case, everybody on wrestling Twitter, and maybe Twitter in general, has spoken every word possible. There's nothing that I can add or take away or anything. It is what it is at this point.
I'm just saying, she lives down your way. She's a Georgia girl. She lives in Georgia down your way. So I figured you had her.
You know more than I do, and I don't even care to know more.
You should check it out.
Saying,
Anyway,
when I start my GoFundMe, y'all, it's gonna be the truth. I'm like, GoFundMe to pay for my wrestling stuff, and I want to buy pretty underwear. That's gonna be the deal.
Should have GoFundMe for your wig. I don't know. People will probably donate to your underwear and your wigs.
I mean, my hair is very important, and the underwear is really.
Because that kitchen in the back, homie. Woo! You can't release that on the public. Little bees in the back, but you can't release that to the public. So
I don't know who you're talking about, but it sure as hell ain't me anyway.
Make sure you keep the kitchen straight. You know what I'm saying? The back of the neck. Just make sure you keep it edged up. Whatever.
My kitchen is good. I keep it clean. Thank you. It's over there where the food is.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so what do you got coming up this week, Mika?
We talked about it this weekend. We talked about AWE. I'm going to keep a fire extinguisher handy. I'm looking forward to seeing just what we do in the Landmark Arena because, Landmark has barriers. It has little rails. AWE doesn't do rails and all that lovely stuff good. So we're going to see if there's going to be a mosh pit maybe for the first time ever in the Landmark Arena. Official fan page. Check that out on Facebook. After AWE on Sunday, Monday the 26th is UIW. There is a show at TC Rose Bar. And you know what happens when you get me in a bar at a wrestling show, y'all? I'll be drinking water. So I'll be at
that Himalayan spring water blessed by Tibetan monks.
No.
Mika, speaking of water. Mika, speaking about water, can you see this right here?
You have LaCroix?
Yeah, LaCroix spring water.
That's fancy. Fancy.
Pinky ups, baby. Cherry natural essence sparkling water made in is French name made in Wisconsin. Not bad. You know what I'm saying? I've been sipping on it the whole podcast. To take another sip for the working man.
The working man doesn't drink LaCroix. He drinks water straight out of the tap. I'm just saying.
Shut up. I'm drinking it.
Be mad at me?
I'm drinking it for the working man, okay? Because we know I neither work nor am I a worker.
You're drinking white collar worker water.
Hey, you should be happy I'm drinking water.
That's okay.
Just be happy. Anyway.
I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts, anything you want to talk about before we end the show, Mika?
No, not at all. I'm pretty sure you covered everything. I mean, seriously, again, ending February with a bang. There's lots of stuff coming up. We are on the road to Mania. So, getting all those plans together will be
I'm on the road to New Dominion in the New Japan Cup. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, our paths may not cross, and that's perfectly fine with me.
I just thought about something. Mika, going to be announcing, so I'm going to go ahead and announce it on the show. I will be in New Orleans, WrestleMania weekend. We'll be defending the AIWF World Heavyweight title in New Orleans. So, to all of our fans and listeners, if you got a show, and I'm probably going to check out a lot of shows and stuff, definitely going to hit up Wildcat Wrestling. I'm definitely going to hit up Joey Janela's Spring Break. Joey Janela's show. Definitely going to hit that up as well. So be sure you see me on Bourbon Street, buy me a drink because I'm going to be drinking all week long. Plus, it's my anniversary.
What anniversary is that?
It's the big 5 years for me and the wife, WrestleMania weekend. So you see Mr. and Mrs. Incredible Hulk buy us a drink. There you go.
That's cute. All right.
Anything else, Mika?
No, that's it. I'm good to go.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my tardy cohort the lover of
Shoot
waffles.
life, man. Shoot life.
Shoot you. Anyway, on behalf of my esteemed co-host, the lover of waffles, the voice of the speech impediment, the idolater of affection, one half of the world's cutest commentary team, which you can check out this Sunday in the Landmark Arena. Miss Hashtag What That Mouth Do, a.k.a. Chicago, was it Chicago Breeze?
Win.
Chicago, I knew it. Chicago Wind. I am Mr. Hashtag all the titles. You got them, I get them. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even gonna mention them. I'm just saying I got all of them. What? Don't look at me like that. I am the disrespectful intellectual, the Southern gentleman, the Morning Star, the Mid-Atlantic bully, the Incredible Hulk. And on behalf of the Wrestling Nerdcast, the Angry Mark Podcast, all of our sponsors at Indie Customs, and our friends at Pro Wrestling World, I'm telling you to have a good week and support indie wrestling.
Bye.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.